So hello everybody. I have not made a video in a while, but I've been working on uploading some content this month. I actually just bought a house on Tuesday, which was less than a week ago. So I'm really excited about that. We are about 50% moved in right now. And so as you can see, I've got piles of books and boxes behind me. This room I'm in right now is actually what this video is kind of going to be about. So I am working on transforming this into a really cool, moody, slightly dark academia vibe office, and I can't wait to do this. My favorite color, one of my favorite colors to work with, has always been green, and I am planning on making this office completely green. I'm hoping to do a built-in bookshelf with the IKEA Billy bookcases on this wall over here. And then I'm also hoping to incorporate some dark green subtle wallpaper on the rest of the room. So that's my goal. I also might include some like beadboard and molding. I want some crown molding at the top of the built-in bookcase. And I forgot to mention, I'll pop a photo up here, but I'm hoping to have two bookcases and then a desk in between. And I'm hoping that all of that will kind of look built in and blend together and blend into the walls. But again, this is kind of an idea of my inspiration. I also found a wallpaper already that I am super in love with. It is on the pricier side, but I'll put that right here too. So it's a really nice dark green. It has some more dark and lighter green accents, and then just a really subtle floral pattern, which I am a huge fan of. I did want the whole room to be green, but I wanted to incorporate some different textures and patterns so that it didn't seem too overwhelming when you walked in. I have to say, I come from a family that is super anti-color, I'll say. It's always keep the space white and as bright as you can so that it seems like a larger space. Although I am taking a risk here and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I was and am still a little intimidated by this project. I've definitely, from my research online, seen some dark colors go really badly and some dark colors go really great, and they look beautiful. So overall, I think it's the level of execution. Usually if people really think about the space and think about where they're going to put things and how they're going to diversify the color and also make it captivating for the eye in multiple areas, all those things considered, I think that those projects end up looking really amazing. And so I'm hoping to really think this project through, and I'm hoping that it really ends up being something I'm super happy with. Again, like I said, I just want this kind of moody office. I want to enter this space and really feel cozy and in a very cool element. I really love antique and vintage accents, so I'm hoping to incorporate some of that, especially with the light fixtures and also some vintage gold portraits on the walls. I want to incorporate subtle animal decorations like snakes, foxes, rabbits, those kinds of things. So, best of luck to me. I hope I can execute this as well as I'm hoping to, and I'm gonna jump into the video.
So I wanted to provide a pretty clear shot of what this room actually looks like before I start this project. This is a new build, so this is just exactly what I'm working with. It's a very blank slate. The walls are white, the baseboards are white, the carpet is a beige gray, which I am going to replace, and everything is really new. So right now, this is kind of where I'm at with the project. I'm a little bit stuck, I have to say. I'm just trying to find a good color match for the wallpaper. And I have definitely decided that this is the wallpaper I want to use, but it's really hard because the lighting in here, it looks so different at different times of the day, different lighting. Like right now on camera, it looks really gray, but in real life, it actually looks more green. So I have a different color options that I'm playing with here. So on the far right, this is a custom color match from Sherwin-Williams, and then I do have two different Sherwin-Williams paint samples hanging up here, as well as 3 from Behr, which is going to be Home Depot's line. So right now I'm just trying to find a good match. Like I said, it's interesting seeing these on camera because this looks super grayed out and these actually look like super green compared to it, but in real life it looks a little different. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm really struggling to pick a color, and I will check in with you guys when I've made a decision. So I just wanted to quickly update you guys. I did see that Spoonflower, who provided my sample that I was thinking about using for the office, was having a sale for 29% off today because it is leap year. It's today. It's the 29th of February. So I did place an order. It was like way more money than I was wanting to spend on wallpaper, but I really love it. I think it's going to be the focus of the room. And so I do think that it was probably a good choice in the long run because I really will
like it long term. But in total for the room, it did end up costing me $760 with tax and shipping and everything. I will say that I am planning on doing only 3 walls in the room, and I'm also planning on only doing 5 feet worth of that wall. So my ceilings are 8 feet high. So I'm planning on doing some like wainscoting, trim, B-board, something like that, at least 36 inches. And then I will be doing the last 5 feet of the wall on 3 walls, with 1 wall being a built-in bookcase from IKEA. So very expensive. I will fully admit that this wallpaper is very pricey. I think when I calculated it for the entire room, it would have cost me like $1,600, which is just kind of wild because I'm still installing it myself. No one's doing that for me. So it was a little bit pricey, but ultimately I am thinking that it's going to be a good idea in the long run. And then I'm also really torn about the colors as far as color matching to the wallpaper, but I'm back like full circle. And I think that the Sherwin-Williams match that I purchased is probably the best match that I could find. Everything else in certain lights just looks very blue toned or just kind of off, and it's the only one that looks like very consistently the same tone all day. That's ultimately what I think I'm going to go with, and I will see you guys when I have another update. All right, so this is day 1 of starting this project. I also decided on the flooring, so I'm gonna go with this flooring from Floor & Decor. I think it has a nice mix of grays and beiges and matches with my carpet very well. So I did get enough for this entire room of this vinyl plank flooring. The next step is removing the baseboards. I am trying to pry these off without breaking them. So I've basically just been using an X-Acto knife, a pretty industrial X-Acto knife, and cutting this caulking away from the wall. And then I'm using this tool to just pull it away from the wall. So again, I'm just trying to maintain these boards so I don't have to buy them again. So I'm trying to avoid breaking or having to cut any of these boards, and I was successful in that. So everything is fully intact and I will be able to reuse it when I reassemble the room. I would estimate that in total, it took me about 2 hours to remove these baseboards myself. Once I'd removed the baseboards, the carpet came up pretty easily. Again, this is brand new carpet, so I have a feeling that's why it was so easy for me to roll up. And I did opt to save this carpet since my new home came with no extra. So I'm gonna keep this on hand. Therefore, I'm trying to keep it all in one well-maintained piece. Although if you were not going to keep your carpet, you could take it up in easier, smaller strips. And then removing the tack strips, I used those same tools that I was when I pried the baseboards off, and these came off pretty easily as well. Okay, so we are now completely down to subfloor. Probably sounds pretty echoey in here, but I completely finished stripping all of the carpet nails. Carpet nail strips. I'm not sure if that's what they're called or not. Basically, my next step is just gonna be trying to finish this and make it as flat as possible. There is still some glue from the carpet padding, which I'll need to remove. But after that, I should be good to lay down the final plank floor. And just to give you guys an update of the room in general, I wanted to include a shot of what this looks like now that it's down to the subfloor. Essentially, I just went around the room with a 60 grit sand block and that tool that I've been using throughout the video. I tried to scrape off any large chunks that I could find, and then I just sanded everything down so that it was level with the subfloor. This was a pain, but definitely made all the difference when I was laying down my vinyl plank flooring. Once I began this, it was really quite easy. I was pretty impressed. My room also just happened to be half an inch longer than 2 planks. So laying this was really, really simple. I decided to make as few cuts as possible, and I was successful just using my utility knife to cut these. I didn't even have to get out my saw unless I was doing an ob-shaped or unique custom cut. And in that case, I used my jigsaw as well as my circular saw. Again, this is just a shot for reference point of where I'm at with the room. This is what it looked like when it was about 90% done. I just had a few final cuts to make, and I am super impressed and happy with the way this turned out. The closet was a bit of a pain to cut, but overall, I'm super happy I made this choice.
Okay, so I've gotten pretty far on this project. I haven't gotten a great chance to film all of the steps, but generally I'm just gonna catch you up on what I've done. So I've assembled the first two Billy bookcases. These are the largest bookcases. They will have cabinet doors on the front eventually. My plan is to first paint the Billy bookcases green and then paint the doors separately before I assemble. As you can see here, I did finish the transition strip and last row of the floor, so that is completed. I also came in and spackled all of these holes on the sides of the Billy bookcase. I had to decide exactly where I wanted the shelves before I did that, so it took me a second, but last night I decided officially where I want the bookshelves to be. And I would highly recommend this patch and paint. This is like a foam, it's like whipped spackle, and I love this stuff, especially when I'm doing projects myself. It's just much easier to use and manipulate. It does dry out much faster, so you'll want to use this within a couple days. It won't last a very long time, but again, I just think it's so easy to use and I would highly recommend it. So my next steps for today are going to be doing at least the first coat of green on both of these bookshelves. I did sand them down with 220 grit and 120 grit last night to get the spackle down, and then also just to remove some of that finishing coat for the paint. And then my next step will be to paint these baseboards. So I was able to salvage my old baseboards, which is really fantastic. I did sand these down and remove any loose paint, so that's why they look kind of crazy. In the closet, I'm gonna keep these white and match the paint color on the wall, and it'll be the same as the trim board was before. So I have that paint from the builder, which I'll be doing today so that I can move stuff into this closet again and use it as a storage space. And then I did put the baseboards back in this corner and on this wall. These will be dark green, however, so I will be waiting to paint these until I put in the wainscoting and other baseboards. I did not put the baseboards in on this wall or this wall, as you can see. And that's just because I have to figure out exactly where these bookshelves will be sitting as the quote built-in before I can, measure that out perfectly. So that's kind of where I'm at. My following step will actually be hanging the wallpaper. Of course, I want to kind of figure out where these will sit on the wall, but yeah, next step will be hanging the peel and stick wallpaper. I also went to Depot to find some face options for these bookcases. I do want to add something just to make them look a little bit more built in. This is 1 3/8 inch wide, so a little less than 1.5. I do really like the look of it. I will have to prime these before painting them. The only thing I'm kind of struggling with is it does lean over, so there's quite a lip on the back here. However, I think it looks weirder if the lip is on the inside. I do think that this is a good option, and I'm just gonna work on painting and priming this stick as well, just for sample purposes. So as I mentioned, my next step is to paint these bookcases. I did end up doing 3 coats on these bookcases. I also painted the cabinet doors down in my garage, so I don't have footage of that. And I also bought a shiplap board to hang up in between the bookcases, which will be over the desk in the long run, and I did paint that as well. After the first coat, this was looking a little thin, and I was slightly worried about the color. However, once the second coat was on, and especially the third coat, I could really start to see the olive color come out, and it matches the wallpaper perfectly, which is a pleasant surprise. Okay, so that is going to wrap up this portion of the video. This renovation or room makeover will probably take me a few months, and over the span of the content in this video, I've already been working on the project for about 1.5 months. So I'm trying to put it in chunks rather than release it in one giant long video. Kind of periodically release some videos on the renovation and the updates that I've made, as well as where I'm at in the process. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will be coming out with probably 3 or 4 more of these. Again, when I started this room, this is the first one. So this room was carpeted and there was really nothing in here. It is a new build, so the room was just kind of blank. And now I have replaced the flooring. I have also built a couple of the bookshelves, started painting a lot of the doors, the closet, bookshelves that I assembled. And then I also reinstalled partial baseboards in the room, including the closet and then a couple other walls
that don't run up into the built-in that I am planning to create. So I'm really excited to see how this room turns out. So far, I am super optimistic. I really love the color of paint that I selected, even though in the beginning I was really skeptical. It definitely looks different on shiny sheen surfaces than it does the textured wall, which I'm very relieved about. And then I will be hanging wallpaper in my next video, as well as starting to assemble the desk. And then I will also be working on the wainscoting. So I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching if you got to this point. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I'm super excited to finish this room.